Hello everyone. For this assignment, I chose the Gulf War resistor. First, I'll begin by giving you guys a little bit of the background about the situation, and then I'll reenact the short speech. The Gulf War resistor. January 15th, 1991. Operation Desert Shield began. Nearly half a year after Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, coalitions from all over the world united in fear of Iraq extending its power further in the Middle East. However, the war didn't resonate well in the ears of millions all over the world who saw it as an injustice. Many protested, including members of the military. One such man was James Lawrence Harrington, who submitted a CO discharge application in the final days of 1990. This first began in the 1980s when low prices made it difficult for Iraq to make its payments to Kuwait, who helped Iraq during Iraq's war with Iran. According to an article on BillMyers.com, Iraq asked OPEC, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, to decrease oil production in order to raise global prices, but Kuwait did not agree with this and rather asked for the oil quota to be increased. This angered Iraq. Kuwait was also said to be drilling at an angle at the Kuwait-Iraq border, stealing some of Iraq's oil. So, on August 2nd, 1980, Iraq invaded Kuwait, claiming it was an arbitrary state drawn by the European powers with no real basis, and to also cancel their debt. The United Nations immediately set sanctions blocking all trade with Iraq and gave Saddam Hussein until January 15th of 1990 to leave Kuwait. If he did not, the UN threatened with military action. President George Bush knew the citizens of the United States would protest a war in the Middle East if he did not make the right impressions and if he did not act quickly. Thus, well-fabricated rhetoric spewed from the television screens of thousands of families, angering them about the situation. A young woman, projected as a victim of Saddam Hussein's horror, said Iraqi soldiers murder newborns by removing them from their incubators. Such stories boiled the blood of many citizens who thereafter believed the U.S. had a moral obligation to intervene. However, this testimony was proven a lie by the New York Times. The young woman was actually the daughter of Kuwait's ambassador for the U.S. She was not a victim. Despite the president's effort, anti-war movements then formed around the world and shook the streets. From Morocco, Germany to the United States, hundreds of thousands gathered at each of these countries to protest. Some people speculated the United States only worried about the oil in the Middle East and not about the conflict that was going on. This belief showed itself in a protest in Los Angeles where activists spilled barrels of blood and oil in front of the federal building. The U.S. believed that Iraq's control of Kuwait threatened Saudi Arabia, who at the time was the world's largest oil exporter. According to BillMyers.com, the U.S. went so far as to create a fake satellite image showing Iraqi troops stationed at the Iraqi-Saudi Arabian border. This attitude of government mistrustment spread itself into the military. James Lawrence Harrington was a soldier who saw the United States' involvement in the conflict as immoral. A member of the Navy and stationed at the Great Lakes Naval Base in Illinois, he requested to be released on the basis of his moral grounds. I did not find much information about him, but I did come across an article published in the Friends Journal, a national journal of the Quakers, implying he was at the time a devout member of the Quaker faith. In his short public letter, he said he did not believe it was morally right to intervene in Kuwait, and saw that the deaths of thousands would be unnecessary. The following is a full resignation letter he submitted to the Navy on December 1990 before Operation Desert Storm officially began. There comes a time in life when maintaining silence is but a betrayal of one's own spiritual core of being. Such a time has come for me, and I must declare from the expansion of my heart and over the limited sphere of my mind that I am a conscientious objector opposed to any and all wars. The power and command of my faith dictates that I work diligently and completely to stop war. To this end do I dedicate the efforts of my life. I do not hold that the absence of participation in war is itself a peace. Through the power of the people, peace is an active force that can and must be spread to all nations, including our own. Our nation suffers from a deep malignity in its conscience that leads it down the path of continual violence and strife. I seek not only to stop this impending war in the Persian Gulf, but to also treat our own profound sickness. War is but a symptom of a greater concern. I prescribe the treatment of a radical revolution within our own nation from that of a thing-oriented society to a person-oriented community. We must learn to love and respect all people for the sake of divinity and basic goodness that dwells within them. When we deny people the right to exist and to self-determination, we are assuring our own self-destruction. In order to save my nation and in order not to betray my own soul, I take this open stance of opposition to all wars. Sincerely, James Lawrence Harrington. Well, that's the short resignation letter he submitted to the Navy. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye. That is the short resignation letter James Lawrence Harrington submitted to the Navy. Well, that's all for this week. Goodbye.